Hi, it's David Ayres from Core Physiotherapy and Pilates Studio here. Today we're going to talk about one of the questions we commonly get asked in our practice. Should we use ice or heat? Let's start with our ice. So ice is typically used in the early stages of an injury, so particularly in the first sort of 48 to 72 hours after you've suffered an injury like a sprain or strain to a muscle or ligament, or if you've had an impact or collision with another body, something like a corked thigh or something like that. So the reason we use ice in those stages is basically to try and reduce the pain and inflammation around the injured site. So it reduces blood flow and that can help us to potentially promote the healing process kicking along a lot quicker. So when we're applying ice, very simple, all we need to use is something that's got a nice mobile gel-like structure. So these sorts of gel packs are really useful, but if you don't have something like this, even just a simple pack of peas out of the freezer is a great way to go. We want to wrap whatever it is that we do use in something like a tea towel, just so that we're avoiding that direct contact of the pack on the skin. And then we want to apply that pack for a good 15 to 20 minutes every hour over those first sort of 48 to 72 hours. And then if we're still having troubles after that sort of period of time, then it's really worth sort of thinking about looking at getting your injury further assessed. So booking a time to see a physio and working out why it hasn't settled down. So it could be something that needs a little bit more to get it back into place. Okay, so now let's talk about heat. So heat works in the opposite way to ice in that it is used more to promote blood flow to the area. So we tend to use heat more for chronic pain, where we've got muscle tightness, joint stiffness, even muscle spasms actually. And it helps to just bring blood to the area and help to give relief by easing the tension in those structures. When we're applying heat, we want to start by looking at what the size of the area that we're trying to apply the heat to is. So we really want to make sure that we've got a wheat bag that's large enough to cover the area. So I say a wheat bag, they're generally what we tend to recommend because they tend to drape and form around the area that we're trying to provide heat to. So much better than using something like a hot water bottle or something that doesn't quite tend to mold around the area of your body as much. So when we're applying the heat, we want to make sure that we're applying it for about 15 to 20 minutes or until the wheat bag has gone sort of cool or losing its effect. And we can really do that as often as we like. So as soon as it's sort of cooled off, we can actually start to look at reheating it. So every 1 to 2 hours, you can start to reuse that heat on the area. But obviously, if you're doing that really regularly, then we'd suggest that that's something that there's probably some better ways that we can help you with to treat that injury. So a couple of things that we want to be really cautious of when we're using our heat packs is just the safety of using a hot product like this. So we really want to make sure that when we're using them, we're following the instructions set out by the manufacturer of your particular product. So it will tell you in there, how to heat it up, and some of the really basic things on how to care for it. So some of them might tell you some other things to look after the wheat and stuff like that. But we want to make sure that we personally do still not just follow that, but we also need to make sure that we check that the wheat bag is still not too hot to touch when we have heated it up. We really don't want you putting it on areas where you don't have sensation. So, particularly if you don't have sensation to the difference between hot and cold. And it's really important that you don't put it on and then put your weight on it. So, putting it on your back when you're lying on your back or going to sleep with a wheat bag on is really something that we don't want you doing. Yeah. Just because it's something that could potentially, cause you to end up with a burn, which then you can't use the heat anymore. So looking at what we've covered today, we've covered ice and heat. Hopefully we've given you a bit of an idea on how you can use both of those different elements to try and relieve your pain or reduce an injury that's just occurred. If you're unsure of which one to use, then give us a call and book a time and talk to your physio, and they'll be able to direct you as to what the right strategy for you is.